it. So today is all about how you can learn, how you can improve your business English communication skills so that you can feel more confident in global work environments. So I've already asked this for many of you, but in the chat, if you haven't already, if you could share where do you live in the world? So just to recap, we have Naoko from Tokyo, Danita from Taiwan, Kenji from Osaka, Katsushi from Tokyo, we have Yoshi from Narashino, and we have Eduardo from the south of Brazil. So really a global class this morning or this evening, depending on where you live in the world. If anyone else wants to share, please go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself a little bit. So my name is Kathleen, and I live in the Rocky Mountains of Colorado in the United States with my dog, Mika here, as you can see, as well as my husband. So I am an outdoor enthusiast. I have skied over 20 days this season. Honestly, I'm a little disappointed in myself. Last year, I skied about 40 days. So this year, I'm skiing a lot less, but that's okay because I am enjoying myself and my business. And I would like to get to know a little bit more about you now that you know a little bit more about me. So in the chat, I would love to know. I have a few questions for you. So the first question is, are you currently using English in your job or at your work? My next question is, if yes, if you are using English at your job, what is the biggest challenge that you have when using English? And then finally, why? Why do you want to improve your business English? So I would love to hear your answers in the chat. So take some time to answer these questions. Oh, hello from Seoul. Q1, welcome. So glad that you're here this morning. Thank you for joining us. All right, so in the chat, just sharing, are you currently using English in your job or at your work? If you are, what's the biggest challenge that you have when using English? And then finally, why do you want to improve your business English? I see some people are busy typing away. This is great. So Naoko says that the biggest challenge is to attend the meeting. I am the only one who can speak English in the office, but I know my skill is not like an interpreter. Wow, that is a big challenge because not only are you speaking for yourself, but you're also speaking for the whole office. And that can be a big challenge. Thanks for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. Let's see. Kenji says, actually, I seldom use English in my job. Listening is the toughest aspect to me. To communicate with people with other cultural backgrounds is my motivation to improve my English. That's a great goal to have, Kenji. Thank you for sharing. We actually will be talking a little bit later about how you can find people, native English speakers to practice with. We're actually going to be talking about that a little bit later. All right, so we have a few more. Yoshi says, yes, I'm currently using English in my job. My speech is a little bit flat. I want to improve my business English to speak fluently to foreign people. Thanks for sharing. Hidehiko-san says, no, sometimes for side work. The biggest challenge is grammar. The reason is to sell products to the world as my own business. That's a great, great goal to have. I'm using English in the job when I talk with people in India on conference call. I can be so embarrassed when I cannot understand their talk. Yeah, it can be really challenging. It's very vulnerable to be speaking a second language. And I completely understand, feeling that way and feeling not as confident as you would like to. I will look at the rest of these comments in a little bit, but let's keep going and talk a little bit more about my business, what it is I do. So my business, if you don't already know, is called Go Global English. And before I even graduated from university as an undergraduate, I fell in love with teaching English as a second language. I actually started as a volunteer. However, the people that I were helping as a volunteer still did not feel confident applying to global companies or interacting in a global business environment, even though they had advanced degrees and extensive work experience in their home countries. So fast forward to a few years, I wasn't really able to help these people in the ways that I felt like they deserved, because I was still earning my first degree and I didn't really know how to teach English at the time because I was only a volunteer. So if we fast forward a few years, I actually ended up graduating with my master's in teaching English as a second language from Colorado State University. And while I was there, I got to work one-on-one with international students, with helping them improve their communication, their speech, their pronunciation. Also, I worked at the writing center while I was at university. And so I was able to work with people's writings and also business writing, like resume writing and cover letter writing as well. And then since then, I had taught at universities, both in China and as well as Japan. And after those two experiences of working and living abroad, I came back home and was living and working in the mountains of Colorado in a very small town. And I was feeling very frustrated that I had all of this experience, but I felt like I wasn't helping people in the most effective way possible. I had to work multiple jobs in order to make a living, even though I had had my master's degree. So that was when I decided to start my own business, start my own company, my own online teaching company, Go Global English, which I established in January 2020. With the purpose to help ambitious business professionals to improve their business English communication so that they can feel more confident and advance their careers. So I've been doing this for about 2 years now, and I am so excited to be sharing a little bit about what I do with you today. So without further ado, let's get into what we are going to actually be talking about today, our questions. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is why taking general English classes isn't helping you. Number two, what is the most important thing when using business English? And then number 3, what you can do to improve your business English today. So hopefully by the end of this hour that we have scheduled today, you will have all of these answers. So I have a question for you before I start answering questions. My question for you is, how long have you been studying English for? How long have you been studying English for? While I'm waiting for you to reply, I'm going to go back to those other answers. Eduardo had said before, I'm using English to consume IT content. And the big challenge for me is speak about some ideas in the future and explain it. I want to improve my English to expand my networking and work international company, for example. That's a great goal. Yutaka said, from Tokyo, I'm using English at work on a daily basis. When I'm stuck in English collocation, I can't possibly come out of my mouth at the last minute. I most definitely want to be more fluent. Good. So Yutaka is talking about how he knows different English phrases and expressions called collocations, but when he goes to use them, he is unable to. Shiho says, yes, discussing on the issues we were contracting each other. So wanted to improve this in order for leading our global team. Good, good. All right, 30 years, 35 years. Wow, this is great. Over 40 years, more than 30 years. Around 5 for more than 40, longer than 40. We have some lifelong learners in here. I love this. This is so great. I've been studying English for 3 years and some newcomers as well. This is great. I love this. Thank you so much for sharing. And I think it's so important to note, we never stop learning. We never stop learning. Okay, so as I said, we're going to talk about, should you generally practice English more to improve your business English communication? And my answer to you is definitely not. I know that's a strong opinion to have, but let me explain. So let's imagine that you are a runner. You are someone that loves to run. And one day you decide that you want to become an Olympian, right? You're going to have to make really big changes in order to become an Olympian. But you are not just going to run more, right? You are not only going to practice running more, you are also going to focus specifically on your diet, right? What you're eating to become an Olympian. You are also going to focus on building your muscles, right? Lifting weights. You're also going to focus on your strategies for starting the race, right? How you're going to start the race. You also have to focus on your mindset to become an Olympian, right? There's a very big difference between the mindset of someone who enjoys running and someone who is a professional athlete. And so the same exact thing goes for improving your business English communication. So what can you do instead? The first thing that you need to do is get specific on your goals. You need to get specific on your goals. Then you need to take specialized English classes that targets these specific goals. So, for example, if you want to focus on presentation skills, you need to learn how to persuade people across cultures. right? You need to learn how to read the room, how to understand the atmosphere of the meeting, and how to analyze people's understanding of what you're saying, right? So are you able to confirm that people understand you? If you want to focus on improving your business English vocabulary, right, you need to start and actively learn new buzzwords and phrases, right? Actively, that means we're doing this all the time. And then something else we want to do is practice conscious learning. This is something that we're going to talk about a little bit later. So if it's unfamiliar to you, don't worry. We're going to talk about it really soon. All right. And so remember, general English classes, they often repeat topics that you've already learned, which is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to review, right? But if you go into new general English classes each time, they're going to repeat the same things over and over again. And often they have no specific outcomes that are targeted for improving business English communication. So what that means is general English classes will improve your English over time, but it might take twice, 3 times, or maybe even 10 times longer to reach your specific goals. So that is why we do not want to just take general English classes to improve our business English communication. We need to be focusing on taking business English communication classes. So let's meet Maria. She was actually one of my clients. I actually ended up working with her in the United States. And she wanted to focus on improving specific targeted goals to improve her English communication skills. And we were able to do that together. And she is originally from Mexico, and she was studying in the United States. And because of her focused study on these business English communication skills, she now lives in Canada and is pursuing a marketing position there and is a highly qualified candidate because of her English skills. And in addition to improving her business English communication, we have also since started working together to revise her cover letter and her resume to prepare for these positions. So that is Maria. All right, so now I have some more questions for you. What do you think is the most important part to learning business English? What do you think is the most important part to learning business English? I would love to know your answers. And while you're typing, I'm gonna have a water break for myself. Okay, we have some answers coming in. This is great. Okay, so the question is, what do you think is the most important part to learning business English? Create marketing, copywriting, good. Don't stop. Don't stop learning. That's a good one. I love that. Discussion, negotiation, and dialogue, good. You need to learn specific words and concepts used in your industry. Understand correctly, right? So to comprehend your listening, better way of communication, taking initiatives to lead the global team, to understand what others are trying to say, to become more fluent in all all aspects for my life. I think the most important thing in learning business English is to be surrounded by English-speaking people at work. Wow, these are really great answers. Thank you all for sharing. And you all have great ideas here, and I definitely agree with some of them. And hopefully what I'm going to share is going to be a little bit new for you today. So the most important part of learning business English is to use conscious learning. And maybe you've never heard of this before, that's okay. When you see the word conscious, right, think about concentrating, right? We're thinking about our brain and focus, right? So conscious learning is almost like focused learning, another way to think about that. So what is conscious learning? Conscious learning is when we focus on improving one thing every day. One thing every day. So how can we implement this conscious learning? How can we use this conscious learning? Right? So we want to focus on one specific skill or one specific aspect of English every day. So an aspect, right, might be using one new phrase or word each day. Concentrating on the pronunciation of the 3 different past tense ed sounds, right? In English, the normal past tense, we use ed. There are 3 different ways to pronounce ed. It's t, d, and id. I don't know if you knew that or not, but a lot of times learners struggle with these pronunciations. And so this is something that you can focus on because there are specific rules for these kinds of pronunciation. What else you can do is creating a plan for yourself at the beginning of each week. So you can schedule what you will focus on each day, right? So you have a plan for your conscious learning. So for example, maybe let's say on Monday, you want to use a new buzzword. Let's say to circle back, right? To circle back is a business English buzzword. Let's say on Monday, you're going to use to circle back. Then on Tuesday, you're going to focus on your past tense pronunciation. Wednesday, you're going to focus on how you can use a new idiom at work, right? So first you learn the new word, then you must use the new word after you've learned it. This is another big reason why general English will not help you improve your business English communication. Because typically in general English classes, you learn many, many words at once, 10, 20 words, you're memorizing, right? Taking vocabulary tests. I know this has to sound familiar to many of your previous English classes in your life, but when we learn 10, 20 words at one time, we don't know how to use all of those 10 to 20 words at once. So breaking it down, focusing on one phrase or word a day is incredibly helpful. So you might be thinking to yourself or saying to yourself, Kathleen, I already told you I'm not using English in my work right now. And I don't have anyone to speak English with. So how can I practice every day? Well, luckily for us, we live in the digital revolution, right? So we have many different networking platforms that we can use. The first, I'm sure many of you are already familiar with, as it's probably the way that we have connected with each other, right? And that's through LinkedIn. So on LinkedIn, you can network with anyone across the whole entire world. There are 750 million people on LinkedIn. And it's estimated that there are 2 new users every minute or something crazy like that, right? All Fortune 500 CEOs are on LinkedIn. People from over 200 countries are on LinkedIn. So you can network with a lot of different people. And you can even schedule a 15 to 20-minute conversation with someone in your field or your industry to learn more about them. And in these conversations, this is when you can use that conscious learning, use that vocabulary word that you're trying to learn for the day. There are other similar, but a little different platforms to LinkedIn that I want to share with you. Hopefully these are new to you. They were new to me recently, actually. So the first one is lunchclub.com. And lunchclub.com uses AI technology to pair you and another person, another business professional to chat based on your interests. This does not necessarily mean that you will be connected with people in your industry. It could just mean you're connected with people who have similar hobbies as you or are interested in the same topics as you. I'm actually going to meet someone for the first time next week off of this platform. So I've never used it before. This is my first time, but it's going well so far. The technology even scheduled a meeting for us based on both of our calendars. So really, really powerful platform there. And something similar, but a little different, is mentoringclub.com. So this is to find a mentor within your industry. And these are people from all across the world. So Lunch Club is more like peer-to-peer, right? Whereas Mentoring Club is you're looking for someone to mentor you. And this could be really incredibly helpful. Maybe if you, let's say, for example, you are Korean and you are interested in working in the United States. Maybe you can find someone who is also Korean and currently living in the United States on Mentoring Club. So you can ask them questions about their journey to get from Korea to the United States, right? So these are some platforms for you so that you can implement that conscious learning. All right, and let's talk about Hirotaka-san. He was actually my very first client. And we actually worked together to improve his business English communication so that he could tell stories, to be able to persuade other people across cultures. So there are a couple of different skills here, right? Being able to tell stories, using persuasions across cultures. Even though we never focused on grammar, we never focused on what you would consider to be general English skills, his TOEIC score still improved after we worked together. So that was a pretty incredible experience because you realize that you do not need general English to improve your general English test taking abilities. If you're using conscious learning, if you're focusing on your specific goals, right, your English ability overall will increase. Okay.
We have someone that typed in the chat, Kathleen.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Last question, and we'll read this, but while everyone else is typing, what are some things that you do to improve your English? So this will be my last topic today. So Kenji says, while I tried to post on LinkedIn for the purpose, I couldn't continue to make it a habit. To find a topic for a post is challenging for me, but the conscious learning method sounds effective for me. Thank you for your useful suggestion. Thank you for your comment, Kenji. Yes, posting on LinkedIn can be challenging because you have to think of a topic, as you said, but something else that you can do is actually comment on LinkedIn. So you don't always have to post, but you can go onto other people's posts and write comments based on what did you think about what they wrote? How did it make you feel? And it's much shorter, right? A comment usually is much shorter than a post. However, you're still practicing English. You're still networking and connecting with people in your field who maybe would be interested in talking with you in the future. So it's a small step. It's a smaller step than posting. So maybe I recommend giving that a try. Okay, so things that you do to improve your English. So Naoko says, I take online English lessons for a decade. That helps me to keep my English skill. Great. Yutaka says, I make it a rule to speak to anyone in my neighborhood in English. Ooh, that's a good one. That's a real challenge. I like that. Anybody else? Any other ways that you improve your English? Yamini says, practicing in front of the mirror. Good. Yeah, if you don't have someone to practice with, that is a great method. Yoshi says, I listen to podcasts and try to mimic the speaker using the shadowing method. That's great. So if you're not familiar, podcasts are like something that you can listen to. It's almost like a radio station, but you can select topics that you're interested in and listen to specific episodes. Topics vary on all different subjects. You can listen to podcasts about learning English, or you can listen to podcasts based on various topics that you're interested in, sports, politics, self-improvement, pickleball, whatever you're interested in, there is a podcast about it. And it's a really easy way to increase your listening comprehension. Kenji says, sometimes I read social media to post reactive posts as Kathleen suggests. Shiho says, listening a radio program and watching BBC News, good. Eduardo, watch more sitcoms in English and speak to others on LinkedIn. The most hard task to do. Yeah, it can be really challenging because not only are you speaking English, but you're making yourself a little bit vulnerable, right? Because maybe someone is looking at your English skills, but know that people care more that you're trying than making any sort of mistake. People are always impressed at someone who tries. Tatsuya says, to have a meeting with those who use English in the United States or ASEAN every day. Hidehiko-san says, learning and training for a specific purpose in English, like Tony Robbins' experiences, etc. Great. And Donita, I repeat the lines that I heard in movies or episodes and use the lines I learned in daily life. Good. And then finally, Henry says, pronouncing correctly also makes my English level up. Yes, I completely agree with you, Henry. All right, so let's see what I think. So these are all really great suggestions on how you can improve your English. One other way that you can do this is by keeping a word journal. One way to improve your English today is by keeping a word journal. So has anyone heard of this before? Has anyone used a word journal before? Yes or no? Have you heard of the word journal? Do you know what it is? Have you used one? Hidehiko says no. Eduardo says no. No, no, no. This is good. I'm glad that it's a no, because today you're going to learn something that's going to be helpful for you. So great. I'm glad to hear that this will all be new for you all. Thank you all for sharing. So what is a word journal? Now that none of you have heard of it, none of you know what it is, what is it? A word journal is a notebook that you keep just for new words that you have learned. When I work with clients, I recommend, a separate personal journal. Sometimes they want to use their cell phone, which is very convenient. And I always say you can use your cell phone, but scientific studies have shown that when you actually write down information, it actually increases your memory retention, which means that it increases your ability to remember what you're writing down. So yes, keeping a word journal in your cell phone is convenient, but using like an actual physical notebook to write down what you're trying to remember, what you're trying to learn is going to help you even more. So a word journal, right? As I said, it's just a notebook. And what you'll do is you'll divide your page into 4 sections. There's 4 sections. The first, so yes, what information should you write in your word journal, right? The first is the meaning or the definition of the word, right? We have to know what it means. The second is the word in a sentence. So I recommend looking up the word in a dictionary. Learnersdictionary.com is a great online dictionary because it is specifically for people who are learning to speak English, right? So this dictionary, this online dictionary is for people who speak English as a second language. And why a dictionary? Why not a translator? This is a question I get all the time. A translator, it's helpful, right? We know instantly what the word means. However, a dictionary tells us so much more information about a word. It tells us how the word is used, right? It shows us what words surround this word, because in English, a lot of the times certain words like to be next to other specific words. So looking up this information in a dictionary can be so much more helpful than a translator. Then you want to write down its part of speech. Part of speech. Is it a noun? Is it an adjective? Is it a verb? Is it an adverb? And its other variations. What do I mean by that? For example, let's say you have the word beautiful. Beautiful, it's an adjective. You also want to write down beautifully, which is it's adverb, right? It's the other variation of beautiful, or beauty, which is the noun, right? So you want to write down all of this information for each word or phrase that you're learning. And then finally, you want a picture. You want to draw a picture. And maybe some of you are like, Kathleen, I'm a horrible drawer. This is a bad idea, right? But whatever picture is going to allow you to remember this word is all that matters. This picture is for you, for nobody else, right? So as long as you are able to understand it. So when you combine, right, logging or writing down each word or phrase you learn, all 4 parts, right, you are increasing your memory for remembering that word. And when you pair using a word journal with conscious learning, your business English communication will rapidly increase. If you focus on using a new word or phrase every day and you're using a word journal, you will increase your business English communication. So the last takeaway, the last thing that I want to part you with today is small, consistent steps are what make big goals happen. I don't think you have to practice English for an hour every day. That's unrealistic. And you have a life, right? You have a job, you have families, you have interests and things you like to do. Learning English, it can be fun, but most of the time we're doing it to improve our lives, right? So spending 15 minutes every day to write in your word journal, to focus on using that language, it will help you. So last thing that I want to talk about today is my Business English Communication Accelerator program. So I have a 10 class intensive program all about English, business English communication. This is one-on-one coaching with you and me. In addition to these 10 classes, which are an hour long, so 10 hours total, we would also have a shared Google folder with all of the PowerPoint presentations from each class. And this program, it focuses on developing confidence and fluency in a business English setting, creating and giving persuading presentations in English across cultures, and then finally improving pronunciation, not just for speaking, but also for listening comprehension. I think that is overlooked so often, right? We focus on our pronunciation so we can sound more natural, but focusing on your pronunciation actually increases your listening comprehension, because native English speakers, the way they talk, how they talk, it's different and it sounds different. So when we learn how native English speakers speak, we can also understand them better. So that is all I had for you all today. Questions. I already see that we do have some questions. So Donita, same as Nauko. So Nauko, I Googled learnersdictionary.com and that brings me the Britannica dictionary. Is this the same one? Yes, it is. They just bought the name, but it's the same. Good question. Thank you. Yeah. Any other questions? So I'm going to just stop sharing. Any other questions today? Any other questions today? If you would ever like to talk more, if you ever have any questions about how to improve your business English communication, I just put my email address in the chat here. Also, here is my LinkedIn profile if we're not already connected, but I think most of us already are. And finally, I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much for coming here. For many of you, it's early in the morning. For some of you, it's late at night. And so I just wanted to say thank you. I'm so appreciative that you came, and to see all of you here. It really, really means a lot. And I'm so happy to provide something for everyone here today. Any questions? Thank you for sharing and have a wonderful weekend. Thank you, Henry. I appreciate that. I hope you do the same. Eduardo, is Duolingo a good tool to use for learning? Ooh, that's a good question. So Duolingo, if you're not familiar, is a free cell phone application, and it allows you to practice many different languages, not just English. Duolingo is great to refresh old words, but I would say it's not going to help improve your communication ability overall, right? It's going to help you stay refreshed on English, but it's not going to necessarily push your English because Duolingo, there's no way for you to have speaking practice, right? You type, so you have writing practice, you have reading practice, you have listening practice, but there's no way to practice your speaking. So I would say it's good to refresh. Good question. Good question, Eduardo. Thank you. Nauko, what do you think is the most unique / different points about your classes from other English classes? That's a great question. So my program is very intensive. So not only will we have one-on-one for an hour, but you also have homework that you would do at home, maybe upwards of an hour. And we do this typically over 10 weeks. And why we do this once a week is so that we can implement that conscious learning style. So I think that's one aspect that's different. Another aspect that's different is my programs are tailored and personalized based on your needs. So even though I have a general outline for my program, the last few classes are personalized and tailored to your specific needs. And so I would say not all business English communication coaches offer that personalization. So yeah, great question. Thank you, Naoko. Anybody else? Any other questions for today? Could you let us know about the systems and prices? Yeah, that's a great question, Tatsuya. And I would love to talk with you more one-on-one about that, if that's okay with you. If you are interested in working with me and talking and learning more details, specifics, the link I just put in the chat here will actually take you to schedule a one-on-one talk with me. And I would love to talk with you more one-on-one about that. Shiho, could you suggest a tuition? Same question. Great. So yes, I would love to talk with you all more one-on-one if that program is interesting to you, and so that I can learn more about your current situation and your future goals so we can design that personalized program together. Great questions. Anything else for today? Anything else? I just want to say thank you one more time. This has been so great. Kenji said it was cloudy in Osaka, but hopefully that doesn't bring down your day. I hope that you have a wonderful Sunday for you and a Saturday for some others. When is my next event? Great question, Yoshi. I actually don't know yet, but it will be within a few weeks, I'm sure. And I will be sure to message everyone that's here when I have my next event. How does that sound? Awesome, great. Once again, thank you all for showing up for me today for this class. I hope it was valuable for you. I hope you learned something, and I hope that you feel more confident in leveling up your business English communication. So if there are no questions, or if you have really specific questions, please just feel free to email me or reach out to me on LinkedIn. And I hope to see you all around LinkedIn or see you in a meeting sometime soon. Okay. Bye. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, you left your profile link. Thank you, Eduardo. Great. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Have a great weekend. Bye, Janita. Have a good one.
Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you,
Bye.
Tatsuya. Bye. Thank you, Hidehiko. I'm glad it was great. Oh, good.